that was rough for me. You don't want to know how many songs I tried to play on camera, and I was failing badly. I gave up on some songs, and I couldn't get through them. I kept making mistakes that I don't usually make. And whatever you just saw was the best of it for today. And that was pretty rough. That was pretty rough. I don't know what it is with me today, but the piano playing thing on camera wasn't working out for me. So there's that. Sometimes I have noticed, even normally when I don't have the camera on, there are some days that I'm sharper at playing an instrument, and some days where I am wondering why I am having such a hard time. So there's that. I wanted to go ahead and open up day 11 of the Advent calendar. This tea is Earl Grey. The ingredients are black tea, natural flavors. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I'll just put it on screen. I have tried Earl Grey tea many times before. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorites, definitely. So, I don't think I will try this on camera. I'll save this for some other future day. But I already know that I like this one. And I know what it tastes like. So I'm not disappointed. I just don't think I need to try that on camera. And I will read what's on the door. It says tea and tunes. Hold on. It says tea plus tunes equals bliss. Turn up your favorite holiday playlist while sipping our aromatic black tea. Share your favorite holiday song on social media with your tea and start a playlist swap with your friends. Holiday playlists. I do not have a holiday playlist. Music and sipping tea. I don't know what I can say about that today. Okay, so I haven't filmed very much at all today. I've been doing other things. I have thought about cooking something, but I don't feel like cooking anything whatsoever. I don't feel like cooking at all. I've showed a little bit of cooking throughout Vlogmas already, but I don't enjoy cooking. I really don't. I don't enjoy cooking. I'm okay at it. Sometimes, depending on what it was, I'm good at it, but I don't really like to do it. It feels like simply a necessity of life. However, those beans that I cooked yesterday turned out very good. So there's that. Also, if you didn't see yesterday's vlog, I was talking about how I was going to cook only half of that bag of dried beans. Actually, wait a minute, it's not even yesterday's vlog, it was the day before yesterday's vlog. Anyway, I was going to cook only half the bag of those beans. Well, I miscalculated. I overestimated what that would be. It was barely enough. Now I don't know how that happened, because in the past when I've cooked a whole bag of dried beans, it seemed like way too much. But this time I cooked half, which I have in the past, and it seemed to work out okay, but this time it was barely enough. So I was not too pleased with that. But does it have to do with the type of bean? I think what I used the day before yesterday they were called Great Northern beans, and before I was using pinto beans. So do pinto beans expand more when you cook them. I don't know what happened, but my simple math didn't quite work out. Cooking half of that bag was not enough. I mean, enough in terms of enough to eat for that evening, but like 0 leftovers. So next time I will calculate differently. But what there was very good. Oh yeah, and then yesterday's tea, the honeybush mandarin orange one, I believe it was, that I liked a lot. I thought it might be the one I liked the best so far. I changed my mind because initially the first sip was very good. It's still, I mean, I still have my opinion that it tasted good, but shortly thereafter I got a headache, like very shortly after. So I'm blaming the tea for that. Like instant headache, not quite instant, like a minute later. And so I thought, well, maybe it's just too strong. So I added a little milk to it, and then I tried to drink it again. Again, another wave of instant headache. So I didn't finish that tea, and I've changed my mind that it's not going to be my favorite so far anymore because of how it made me feel. But taste-wise, it could be a favorite, like one of my favorites so far anyways. I don't know what else I'm going to do this evening. Let's see, it's the 11th of December, and I can feel the work that this Vlogmas series is. I'm impressed with other YouTubers who can crank out these videos every day because it's a lot of work. I'm feeling it. I don't know if I will be sharing a single edifying thing in this vlog, like a spiritually edifying thing. I doubt that I will be sharing a single edifying thing in this vlog. I feel like I'm struggling a little bit. I don't know if I'm distracted or tired or just feeling a little out of sorts today, but like I felt like I couldn't play the piano hardly. And I feel a little scattered at the moment, but people have those types of days, don't they? I mean, apparently I do. So I don't know what I'm going to eat for dinner at the moment. There are some leftovers. All I know is I don't want to cook a single thing. I don't want to cook whatsoever. Do you like to cook? Do you like to cook? Maybe you do. That's good for you and good for whoever gets to enjoy your cooking for the most part. At least they don't have to cook, you know what I mean? Okay, I might have something to say about Christian living. I don't know if you've been following along at all with the vlogs I've been posting, but I think more than once I have made reference to building character, like how trials build character or difficulties can build character, or I said something about refinement. I understand that that sounds not very helpful sometimes. Like, so basically what I mean by that is, okay, when I hear someone talk about building character, I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, are you just trying to make a bad thing sound good? When you tell me that my character is being built, like basically, who cares? cares if your character is being built. I admit that when I hear that, it comes off like, are you just trying to pawn off a bad situation as actually good? But I have been learning lately more that this thing of, for the Christian, let's just say, for the Christian, building character is a big deal. Building character is a big deal. It's not just a platitude to help you feel better. Because in fact, some of the stuff that you go through to build character doesn't make you feel good at all. And so, what I'm trying to say is, it isn't just a platitude. Building character is a big deal. And what I've been learning lately is that building character is part of a foundation that the Lord can build upon. Now, I know that in the Bible, perhaps if I remember correctly, Christ is our foundation, right? I'm not trying to say He's not. I'm not trying to say salvation isn't part of our foundation as well, what we stand on. In addition to that, there is something about one's character that is a foundational element in their life, and it is something that the Lord can build on. And so if that foundation is not there, or is lacking, or is weak, like a weak character, God is not going to build skyscrapers on a weak foundation. On a weak foundation, you might build a shack, but personally, I don't want just a shack. I want to have the type of foundation that God can build tall buildings on. And what I'm learning is this thing about building character. It's not just something that's said to make you hopefully feel better. It is important. It's important because if it's not there, if some kind of strength of character is not in place, if a person doesn't have the type of character traits that are good, being able to be disciplined, what else? Faithfulness, maybe able to endure things. I don't know everything that I can't think of everything that would make a good character at this very moment, but okay, I think I lost my train of thought. But if those things aren't there, if there's not strength of character in a person, God is not going to build something big on it. Think of a foundation under a building. I'm not a structural engineer, I'm not a builder or something, but to me, just logically, there has to be a certain type of foundation to hold a certain type of building on top of it. I did not research this ahead of time, I just heard somebody say it, but I'll share it with you. So I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I don't live there now, but Seattle is known for a lot of things, but it's known for the Space Needle, that building tower thing, the Space Needle. So I heard someone tell me, again, I did not research this, so I'm just going by what someone told me, that the foundation that they put under that Space Needle is so deep and so strong that it would almost be impossible for the Space Needle to like fall over. What I bring that up for is to emphasize the importance of a foundation, and if it can sustain, if it can support what is built on top of it. What I'm trying to say also is if someone has a weak character, God is not going to be building something heavy on it. So having strength of character is a foundational thing. Furthermore, again, I'm not a construction worker or an engineer of any kind, but I have seen foundations laid. What is involved? There's cement, there's rebar, there's metal, and when I've observed some of the people making the foundation, it doesn't look like a lot of fun to me. It looks like dirty work. It looks like back-breaking, dirty, hard work. And I am relating that to the things that we might have to face as we try to build, well, I was going to say as we try to build character, but really it's more like submitting to God shaping us and making us have strength of character. Sometimes we participate reluctantly, but it's dirty work. It's dirty work when God is trying to shape your character, improve your character. It's often hidden between you and Him, what He's working on inside you. It's not always completely visible to other people, kind of like a foundation. Once something is built upon it, you can't see it very well, but it's there. So I'm saying these things that we might have to work on along with the Lord, submitting to His work in our lives. I think a lot of people don't want to do that because it's dirty work and it's not easy and it's not very seen. So it's like you can't hold it up to somebody and say, hey, see all this work I've been doing on my character? It's not that flashy. It's not that seen right off the bat anyway. Later it might be, but it's dirty work, and I think but important work, the inner work that God wants to do in each of His people. Do you want to get your hands dirty? Some of the cement work that I've ever seen done, those guys, they're pretty dirty. They're right up in there getting it done, which is admirable. And I'm just wondering, are we working with God in our hearts, getting our hands dirty, getting in there, submitting to Him? Like if God points out a thing in your life that needs work, are we resisting? Are we trying to ignore it? Or are we facing it and growing from that point? Are we submitting to His refinement in our lives at all? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I hope it is somewhat understandable. At least I'm saying this character building thing is, it's not always very seen. It's kind of thankless work. I mean, we can thank God for it, but do you know what I mean? It's like kind of the work that nobody really wants to do. However, it is building something very important, building our character, and with that, part of the foundation that God can build upon. It's as simple as this sometimes. If you knew a person and you knew their character was weak, they weren't very trustworthy, they weren't very faithful, they weren't very disciplined, would you entrust them with something important to you? If you knew you couldn't rely on their word, if their character was weak, would you entrust something that meant something to you with them? Or if you had a foundation, an actual foundation somewhere, and you knew there were weak points in it, you knew it wasn't very strong, you knew it had issues, would you want to build your house upon that? I'm saying character matters. And character doesn't just matter in a separate bubble somewhere. It matters in terms of, can God build upon the foundation that is in you? And I'm not saying your character is the only part of the foundation you have. As I said earlier, Christ is our foundation. Salvation is part of our foundation, but also character. So I guess that was my attempt at sharing something related to the Christian life. So this when I say things that we might go through is building character, hopefully, if you are allowing it to and submitting to the Lord along the way. When these things we go through are building character, it's important to build character. It's very important. It's not just this thing that we can tell each other as Christians to make us kind of feel better. I hope you get what I'm saying. To me, I want the type of foundation that is strong enough for the Lord to build upon it whatever He would want to. I don't want a foundation only good enough for a shack to be built on. I want a solid foundation that God could build a skyscraper on if He wanted to. And sometimes it takes time. I'm not saying it does across the board, or I don't want to make some blanket statement, but sometimes it takes time to build a good, solid, strong foundation. Sometimes it takes time to build character. And I hope that if that is happening in your life, that you don't feel discouraged about the time that it's taking. The time that it's taking, because it's not wasted time. It's important. It's time that is used well in making a good, solid, strong foundation before. I wouldn't want to move faster. Let's say you had a building project. Let's say you're building a house. I don't want to rush through the foundation stage just so I can get a house built and think, oh yeah, I see what I got there. I built this thing is built. Don't you see it? You can see it, can't you? And meanwhile, it's weak because the foundation not enough time was taken to build a solid foundation. I don't want to rush through that stage. That's an important stage. Is there biblical evidence for such a thing? Maybe. Think about Moses. Didn't he spend a whole bunch of time in basically the wilderness or something, caring for sheep or something? Remember? There was some decades of him just out there somewhere. What about David? He was anointed king, and he spent a whole bunch of years on the run. I'm just saying, sometimes it takes time, and it's not wasted time. I hope that we can progress through it as quickly as we can whilst not sacrificing quality. But for me personally, I don't want to rush through a thing and build like a shack. Maybe you can construct a shack in a week or two, maybe a month. So if it takes years to build a skyscraper, I would rather wait and go through the years it would take for a better outcome, something more substantial than a shack. So I hope that we can be patient through the things that we go through, that God is using to build our character. We ended up getting hamburgers for dinner from Valley Tavern, but locally my favorite hamburgers come from this place called Burger's Landing. Landing as in, like a plane lands. Burger's Landing. Anyways, they have my favorite hamburgers, but lately, yes. Looks like someone got rear-ended there, unfortunately. So I understand it's really dark right now, but still, Burger's Landing in Port Hadlock, Washington has my favorite burgers. If I'm gonna go out and have a burger, like, I can make them at home, but if I'm gonna go out and have a burger, they have my favorite. But lately, I have difficulty predicting when they will be open. So that's been my trouble lately. I think I've tried to go 2 times, maybe 3, and they're closed when I get there. And I've tried to decipher what their schedule for being open is, but I haven't figured it out yet. Consulting Google for their schedule of when they're open has not been helpful, because it's different than what Google says. So, but anyways, yes, Burger's Landing in Port Hadlock, Washington. And they have really good French fries too.